Hello and welcome to The Surprise Truth, a podcast where a timely insight can change your life forever. Today I'm here with Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe, and Professor Anil is, in my opinion, one of the most qualified people to talk about how education is developing all around the world, and he has a very good view of how things are developing in India, which, as you know, is one of the largest. In fact, it is the largest education market in the whole world. So welcome, Professor.
Namaste.
Namaste, and very happy that you have made it here to this podcast. In fact, I must tell you, this is the first podcast I'm recording in India.
Oh.
So I'm honored to have you here.
I'm excited about it.
Yes. All right. So I want to actually start with surprise truths, and to give the audience also a little bit of an idea, what is a surprise truth? A surprise truth is sometimes something very obvious, but you don't really see it because nobody has told you in that way, or maybe you have not seen a particular aspect of it, and suddenly it becomes a surprise truth. It is a truth, but it's a surprise because you didn't think about it that way, and that influences the way you think, influences what you do, it influences the way you look at things, and that's why we say that it can even change your life of what you do after that. So we hope the Surprise Truth podcast would allow us to share wisdom and insights. Some very eminent personalities who are, I believe, experts around us. So, Professor, I'll start with a simple overall world view. We are now 8 billion world population, and the biggest challenge we all have are twofold. One is we are going into Industry 4.0, some faster than the others, and it is displacing jobs, and the requirement for skilling is becoming important, and we are looking at the entire education landscape transforming, and in fact that's probably a reason why there are so many new companies who are coming into education, not just universities and colleges, but the world is transforming today. And what do you think are the surprise truths that people must understand how the interplay between the world population and education?
Sachin, very interesting question. As you rightly said, the population of the globe is 8 billion. And out of that, 1.4 billion are in India, Indians. That means 1/6 of the world's population. As far as the technology is concerned, we all know about Industry Revolution 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, we have into 4.0. Lot of Internet of Things, how systems to systems they contact, everything has come in. But today, education was lacking. Education 4.0 is of the essence, and that has been also started in about a decade ago. And now people are talking about Industry 5.0 and Education 5.0. So we have been constantly moving. In fact, one of the very important thing is change is permanent, and therefore technology is rapidly changing. What was taught in the universities and colleges in their 4-year program no more remains valid by the time they graduate, and therefore skilling of people, upskilling of people, reskilling of people is also equally important.
Yes.
They have to learn, and therefore lifelong learning is a new mantra which has come in. Therefore, as far as the entire world population is concerned, all industries are talking about non-employability of our Indian graduates or for world graduates in Indonesia, in ASEAN countries, anywhere in the world, even in the advanced countries.
Yeah.
So constant learning is one of the most important things, and that's why a lot of edutech companies are coming up for skilling, upskilling, reskilling, and that is the order of the day.
So do you see role of technology is the one most important thing, because other things have not changed? Curriculum has changed, methodology has changed, or what has really transforming?
Everything is transforming. The manner in which we were learning has also transformed in a big way. We were all used to going to a classroom and learning. Yeah. That is not the only model now existing, especially in the light of the large technology which is available in terms of internet, in terms of mobile phones, in terms of anywhere education. Students know the information. Today, even through AI, ChatGPT, OpenAI, almost all the information which the teacher is going to teach in the class is known to student upfront. Then why should you come to the class? Yeah. And therefore, learning methodology is one through looking at the videos and learning from that. Analyzing, critical thinking is another part of it, which in a classroom environment, a faculty, whether in the physical mode or in an online mode, is required to engage with the student in terms of challenging them with some problem statement.
Okay.
And then based on that, let them do a lot of group activity. because the products that are developed in the industry are all through teamwork, not individual.
Collaborative.
And therefore, how students can learn collaborative way of learning and do projects, hands-on experiential learning is the mode of learning today than the classroom level of learning.
So therefore, you're right. The technology plays a big role because there's a democratization of education. People have access to people from anywhere in the world. So coming to that, I would like to go a little bit about what's happening in India, because I know that India has been transforming itself dramatically, and you are one of the key people who knows what is actually going on. You have witnessed it. You have been in several capacities, especially as the chairman of AICTE. You have seen up close and personal what companies are doing, colleges are doing, industry is doing. Could you tell us a few surprise truths that people may not know really about what has led to this transformation of India?
Sachin, a very interesting way, India is one of those countries which started transforming right from independence. Yeah. But the acceleration of all that happened in the last 10 years during the present government.
Okay.
And therefore, the entire digital India, which started off exactly 10 years ago, has catapulted India into a global space in terms of learning through technology. And we started our own indigenous MOOC platform called Swayam, study webs for active learning by young and aspiring minds, and which now IIT Madras is taking forward with Swayam 2 to now Swayam Plus. So there have been complete engagement of students with the technology. But at the same time, we all found that despite having this availability of resource for online education, number of universities which were using this was limited till pandemic broke out.
Okay.
And pandemic as well as the National Education Policy 2020 of India, both were almost simultaneously came in. And people realized that education now cannot be during lockdowns by physical mode, and therefore there is no alternative other than the digital mode of education. And what India started as a Digital India campaign 10 years ago came in handy. So many countries of the world, very timely, many countries of the world had to stop their education for a year. We did not stop. Maybe there were delays in examination, admissions for a couple of months, but we were the country who continued with our education in an online mode, right from school education to high school to all engineering, all education continued. And we realized that this is a powerful tool, and the Swayam had already been in place. So a university which does not have an expertise in a particular domain can still take education from the best professor available in India from some other best institution in the country, was realized, and that has been an order of the day now. UGC, AICTE made a very important transformation that apart from your own university teachers, initially 20% of the credits can be earned from outside, outside your institute through Swayam. Then that was increased to even 40%. Of course, those courses where there is hands-on experiment or laboratory classes to be associated is not allowed. But otherwise, many theoretical courses can be had in a much more interesting manner from the best of the faculty on an online mode rather than from the same class. And our teachers have a role to be a guide, a philosopher, mentor in the classrooms. Thereby, what they have learnt in the online portal, if there are difficulties, they can solve in hand. So I think it's a flipped model, or we call blended learning, which has become very popular in terms of all of that. And very exciting way in India, the use of technology, as I said, today, if you see the number of students in the education sector, it is more than 340 million. In India, we call crores, so 34 crores.
Yes.
Out of the population of 1.4 billion, if 34 crore students or 340 million students are in the school or high school or college or university or in skilling domain, which is the population of the entire Europe and more, in fact more than that. So the challenges are also certainly existing, but we have had excellent technology platforms which enabled us to swim through with all the difficulties that were existing.
So that's a great surprising truth, that the surprise truth in the fact that our student population is actually the size of America, 340, 350 million. And that's, I think, a powerful equation, which brings me to this. We have seen this phenomenon of late where a lot of Indian origin people are CEOs or very senior leadership in a lot of global companies. I don't just say in America, but in many other parts of the world, especially global companies, the local heads. How do you connect it? I mean, so what's the connection between the education system in India with them? Because of course they did their postgraduate studies overseas, but their foundational education did happen in India. Do you see a connect? Is there a surprise truth there which could explain this phenomenon?
I think surprise truth is we have a very great civilizational value system in India, right from families to schools. And the what we call honesty, integrity on one side, working hard. We are karma yogis in some way.
Yes.
Mahabharata and
Yes.
Bhagavad Gita talks about that. So we have this work hard, don't expect any results, and continuing with that, we have native intelligence also. Coupled with all of this, if there is honesty and integrity, I think there is a success mantra automatically emerging out of that.
Correct.
And therefore, when they go to US, do their hard work and then have their master's, PhD and continue to do the job, there is a clear differentiator which the companies observe amongst Indians compared to vis-a-vis others.
Yeah.
And that's how they are rising, and many of the CEOs of large companies, whether it is deans or presidents of the universities in USA, they are all now becoming
Yes.
from Indian part.
Yeah. So this, I think, you're right about there is a certain philosophy of the Indian philosophy, karma yogis, which could be the way of how we are serving humanity, not just serving our own country. We see the whole world as a place where we must do service. Interesting angle there. So I would like to actually now talk a little bit about what's happening within India. And I think, the largest opportunity here is jobs. For the future, because jobs puts food on the table and it keeps people happy. No nation can progress if there aren't enough jobs for the young people. And the challenge now comes is technology on the one hand is trying to create efficiencies where jobs may not be needed because you have AI, you have automation, etc. On the other hand, there are certain jobs which are needed because there is automation. All of this points to upskilling and reskilling is needed. And some of the industry partners that we have talked to say that the young generation are not ready for the jobs that are actually out there, and that disconnect will always be there because it's a moving goalpost, right? So what is the surprise truth here in how do you think everybody should approach making young people ready for jobs?
Sachin, before that I will go back to the last question.
Yeah.
You also intervened and said that our philosophy, Indian philosophy, is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. We want the whole world to be happy.
Yes.
Not only human beings, but even animals,
Yes.
the planets, the rivers, mountains, everyone. I think that spirit is what is appreciated today under the SDG goals. All
Yes.
17 SDG
Sustainable
goals
goals.
are related with our culture,
Yes.
our civilization.
Correct.
But coming to the question which you raised about how our students have to be employable, because the skills are changing. So two things can happen. While they are doing their formal education, can they do also add-on courses which are related with skills, depending on their interest. Someone may be interested in AI, someone may be interested in robotics, someone in drones technology, someone may be in automation in railways or in the transportation sector, in the health sector. In fact, two important sectors other than education, which will have a lot of impact, is agriculture sector and health sector. And all students, if they are able to know something about it and then create their own startups, I think this employability will dissolve. In fact, they will create employability for rest of the people.
They become job creators.
They become job creators, entrepreneurship, education. And there is so much of value that we can add to our agriculture sector in terms of increasing productivity, in keeping the soil fertility intact, which we call as natural farming, to how to help them to create market. Unfortunately, in some places in India, you have a huge production of maybe tomatoes at one season, apples in another season, mangoes in another season, and because of lack of transportation and technology availability, they are not able to sell to the market. How do we create all of that? How do we increase the income of our farmers?
Yes.
Is one activity. The other one is healthcare. Healthcare is a very important subject, not only in India, but all over the world, and more so in the third world countries and developing nations. And I'm sure that the technologies evolved and developed for telemedicine, or seeing a patient, taking a photograph and sending it to a doctor and then getting immediate response to that.
Yes.
I think these are exciting moments using technology.
Correct. Absolutely right. So the surprise truth is in the outcomes. Sometimes you're very surprised that these things can actually happen. So I want to actually talk a little bit about the future of work, because we are all preparing our students to be ready for work, whether they work for themselves, work for a company, whatever. Companies are also looking at work environments are very different. And I think COVID made us all think about work from home is okay, work from anywhere is okay. And now everybody is saying we should all come back to office. Where do you think this is really headed? What is, in your opinion, the most efficient and most practical approach to work, future of work, rather than saying that companies and people have certain desires? But ideally, what is the most best way of going forward in the future of work? What is your opinion?
The future of work has to be in a blended way, which we are also talking about in education. Not every day you need to come to the school, but at the same time, coming together is also important. Because human to human interaction is one very valuable thing to understand psychology, to understand the philosophy, to understand the pain points. You cannot do it in an online mode. But however, many things can be done in an online mode in the form of using of technology, internet. So we must have a mixed model. Some part work from home or study from home, some part study in the school and college, and some part work in the industry. Both are very, very important. Now, depending on the nature of industry, what is that proportion can be different.
Correct.
We can blend it, fruit juices, different combination. So you can do it like that, that is how it is. But more importantly, the skills are changing. Dynamically, they are changing. What did not exist 5 years ago suddenly erupts. Now, how do we train our people? Using again technology, because you can't go to the classrooms every now and then. While doing your job, how can you get trained in that new skill set? By being at home, by working in the weekends or in the evenings. That is what is the power of technology that we must be able to use.
Fantastic. So I'm actually, enjoying this conversation, and I want to learn a little bit more from you about, the role of a teacher. I think we have seen a transformation of the role of the teacher, including the teacher is being upskilled and reskilled, etc. But do you think there is a fundamental change in what a teacher does today or will be doing in the future compared to the age-old tradition role of a teacher in the past? Is there a surprise truth here that maybe teachers can learn from this conversation about what is it that a teacher should do to adapt to all these various changes?
So many times a question is asked to me that with the advent of technology and everything being available online, will the role of teacher vanish and there is no more requirement of a teacher? But I often tell them that value of teacher will remain. Guru is a guru. You require a teacher, but the format in which you have to continue to operate is likely to be different. And we have to be prepared for that. And that's why teacher training is important. Both at the time of induction into the profession, how I am going to be involved in the entire process of teaching, learning, research, innovation, and subsequently the newer technologies which are emerging, how do I continue to learn new things? When I say that students have to be involved in lifelong learning, if a teacher himself or herself is not doing lifelong learning, how can you preach what you don't practice? And therefore, for practicing, we have to bring out teachers into that model or that format. And interestingly, in all over the world, I have noticed that for teaching in the schools or high schools, you require what is known as diploma in education, bachelor of education. But when it comes to higher education, there is no such formal degree required. You do a master's program, a PhD program, and become a teacher. And in the process of continuing with the teaching profession, some people do trial and error and do something good, and someone else practices that. And over a period of time, some of them perfect the art, some of them don't till the retirement. So we decided to have in AICT a formal 8-module teacher certification program, without which no regularity will be there. You will remain ad hoc teacher or a temporary teacher. And that has motivated them to come out. What is the profession of teaching? Why you have become a teacher? 2, use of technology in education? How do you design a curriculum based on the needs of the industry, society?
Yes.
How do you impart education? How do you prepare your class? Every class you have to be prepared. How do you set a question paper? Because that is where you really excite a student. I didn't know that. I want to
Yes.
learn this.
Yeah.
And how do you create that excitement? How do you do administration in all those 8 modules are part of this teacher certification program. So I think value of teacher certification is very important. Training them is important. In India, there were a variety of things even under UGC. They have all been brought together with 111 centers called Malviya Mission Teacher Training Centers. And Malviya was a great
Yes.
educationist who started Banaras Hindu University.
Yes.
So in his name, in his honor, this training program has begun. All teachers, there are about 1.5 million higher education teachers. All of them are going to be trained in the next 3 years.
Fantastic. So, I strongly believe that we are always surrounded by teachers, formal or informal teachers, and that's how we progress as human beings. I want to actually talk a little bit about your current role now, because I know you've retired from being chairman of AICTE, but there are definitely some surprise truths that which has made sure that you are given multiple hats, and I believe you are actually more busy now than you were before. So what are the surprise truths that you could take from your profession and your career into these new things that you're doing right now, the new responsibilities that are being given to you?
Immediately after my formal superannuation, I was given the task of heading as a chairman of National Educational Technology Forum, NETF. This is for a platform where a lot of discussion can happen, a lot of dialogue can happen in terms of how the technology is to be used in education, starting from school education to higher education.
Okay.
Especially in India, through the national education policy, we talked about change from 10+2 system to 5+3+3+4 system. The first 5 years being very informal type of education where children will enjoy through games, gamification, comics, and therefore lot of technologies to be brought in which will excite them to learn more and more new things. Yeah. And that is what is being done. It is called foundational learning stage, first 5 years, starting from age of 3 to 8.
Yes.
Subsequently, next 3 years, you have very strong mathematics, language background, reading, writing, etc. will happen. And the next 3 years, a lot of skill operation will start. In the last 4 years, totally liberal in terms of taking even maths and music, chemistry and computer science, physics with philosophy or psychology. So such a combination which is not heard of so far.
Anywhere else.
So I think this is a very exciting journey, and for all of this, there is a lot of content which is required to be delivered right at the school level or at the individual level at home through the use of technology, and therefore creating that content using AVGC, we call animation, visual effects, gamification and comics. And then also using AR, VR, XR, metaverse. How these technologies can be brought in the school, at what intervention, how this is a challenge. This is what is one of the major tasks that we are doing.
Okay.
I'm also heading National Board of Accreditation as chairman.
Yes.
And NAC Executive Committee. Okay. NAC is an accrediting body for college and university accreditation, and NBA is a program accreditation. So the challenge there is, how do we improve the quality? In the national education policy, there are 5 basic principles. We were already talking about 2 of them very majorly, that is access and equity.
Yes.
But we have added quality, we have added affordability, we have added accountability. And technology will be able to take all of them together and then check whether all of that is happening or not. And that is where we have created a very interesting ID for each student. Like Aadhaar, we are now going to be having APAR ID. APAR stands for Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry. And in most of the Indian languages, APAR is multiple, many, innumerable. So through this ID, getting connected with an academic bank of credits, ABC, students learning formal, informal, skill, sports, cultural activities, credits earned in each of these will be deposited there. And they will be deposited by the agency who give them. And therefore, it is an authenticated source of truth for anyone, and they don't have to carry their hard copy of certificates at all.
Anymore.
They can claim that his ABC, that record is available under his APAR ID. Anyone can validate, check it, and then go ahead. I think these are use of technology, and we have already got nearly 280 million students out of those 340 million. 280 out of 340 are already onboarded. Their data is going to be accumulated as academic bank of credits. I often joke, in the bank, the formal bank like State Bank of India, Reserve Bank, you have an account and you put money, which is Lakshmi.
Yes.
But in academic bank of credit, you are keeping Saraswati. Whatever they are earning is going to be kept there.
Yes. Phenomenal. Do you think that such systems exist in other parts of the world, or do you say that it's developing here independently?
There is no such formal system existing anywhere in the world. There are certain, of course, we all know that one semester exchange program, taking credits of another university into your university is existing for a long time. But you required a mechanism to support it. You will have to carry the hard copy of the certificate and come back to the university. Sometimes they doubt it and all of that. Today, it is all authenticated source of information through academic bank of credit. One more exciting thing which we are doing is in India, multiple agencies ask for data from the universities and colleges. Either from the Government of India in terms of Ministry of Education, there is a portal called AISHE, All India Survey for Higher Education. Then you have a UGC which asks for some data, AICT for technical programs, you have accreditation by NBA, NAC, state government, state university. So many people keep asking data, and if you look at the data, 80% of that is common. Very little is asked differently from this agency and that. But the college and university has to keep filling it 6 times, 7 times in a year. So we are creating a portal called One Nation, One Data, in which all the information, which is a sum total of all the requirements of all the agencies, which is the union of all of that data, is going to be asked from one single place, and the others who require it will take it through APIs as per their requirement. So again, a single source of truth will be created in the form of about information, about the achievements of an institution in a single place, which is available for anyone to see, validate, and make use of it.
Yes. So, the summary of this, what I can see is that large progress and innovation in such sectors are happening in predominantly 3 countries, which are among the large 3 democracies of the world, the US, India, and Indonesia. And being a democracy actually is the fundamental root requirement for such kind of programs to really benefit the society and the citizens. So the last segment, actually, I just want to spend a few minutes understanding Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe and what are the surprise truths in your life journey that took you from when you were a student to the position that you have today, where you are able to contribute to the entire system, right? So, is it habits? Is it certain philosophies? What is it that has the surprise truth that you would like to share with our audience that has made you what you are?
See, I come from a small place and a family which is not even middle class, poor family, because my father had to take care of the children of his elder brother who passed away. My uncle passed away early. And therefore, we were a large family of 10 people, joint family, and a single earner, that too a small salary. So we had all difficulties. Despite that, one of the things which my mother, my grandmother, my father taught us is about honesty and integrity, hard work. And based on that, I continued my journey. I almost was quitting at the age of 16 from the school education, because I wanted, all others were my younger brothers and sisters, cousins and brothers. So, but somehow someone came in the way, and then they told by some relative that why is he quitting the job and entering into, every weighing machine. I had taken a job there. They said, why is he not going to the college? That was a big turning point. My distant uncle came and said that I will pay the fees, you must go to the college. Of course, later I got National Merit Scholarship. I didn't know that all of that is available also. And then I continued, and then after my 12th grade, I also got admission in IIT Madras. I didn't join because again family compulsions of not able to support hostel fee and mess fee and all that. But life changes actually, and then after my bachelor's degree from Hubli, I went to IISc Bangalore for my master's and PhD. But while doing my master's during an interim period, I had gone to the Northeast, and while traveling, I found that this is also another part of our own country, but not developed enough, and there is a lot of communication gap. So I decided to venture into a job into Northeast, and my first job in fact was in Northeastern Regional Institute of Science and Technology. Most people after doing PhD from Indian Institute of Science go abroad for their postdoc and jobs and citizenship. But I went to the most difficult terrain, most underdeveloped terrain, worked there for 8-9 years, then went to IIT Guwahati. But in each of these phases, I had a guru. During my PhD, my Professor Bunjal from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore here, right here. One day, I had gone to the city for some work, and I had an appointment on a Saturday afternoon with him, and I didn't reach on time because the bus was not available, something happened. Next day he called me and said, why did you not come? I said, sir, I got stuck there. That time, of course, there were no mobile phones, but there were certainly local call, STD booths were there, and booths were there. Why did you not call from there? I said, I'm sorry, sir. Because he said, you did not come. I had kept this 1 hour reserved for you. I also lost that 1 hour. I didn't do anything. I was waiting for you. So the importance of time and maintaining time was a big lesson I learned while I was doing my master's and PhD from Indian Institute of Science. Same way, I have seen many others where honesty, integrity, how it plays. So my own life, after my first 2 jobs, I have not applied anywhere. In fact, people invite me to take up next job, and then I'm traveling. My journey is continuing.
Yes. So I think, the surprise truth here is, not, apart from honesty and integrity, you also have mentorship, which I think things that you learn from others, you also have that quality in you where you mentor other people around you, which explains why there's such a high engagement in the, the work that you do.
So, I was brought in from IIT Guwahati, well-settled life, to a place in Pune, College of Engineering Pune, which is an old government college where Vishweshwarya, the best engineer of India, studied in 1881 to 84. Dr. F.C. Kohli, the then Board of Governors chairman, invited me, called me, got me there, and I served there for 9 years under him. He is the father of software industry in India. Who is the one who started TCS. All Infosys, Wipro are all offshoots of Tata Consultancy.
Correct.
And he is the man, guru. I worked with him. What a phenomenal personality. How much learning each day I was getting from out of him. I think wherever you go, you look at each one has some positives and negatives. You pick up the positives and imbibe them, you will keep moving ahead.
Well, with that, I think, with this episode or this podcast comes to an end, and I'm really happy that we had Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe with us today. Surprise truths from his life journey, as well as surprise truths about the education system all across the world, as we are seeing. And I think, in the comments in the podcast here, please feel free to contribute or to engage in a discussion with us. I hope to have more opportunities to be interviewing Professor Anil on other aspects of things as well. And with that, I'd like to close this and welcome to the whole series of podcasts that we are doing with the Surprise Truth. And don't forget to join our channel, the Indonesia Economic Forum, and be part of this conversation. Thank you very much.
I think I would like to just add
one
last part.
Yes.
I compliment you. Your name is Sachin. And our great cricketer of India is Sachin Tendulkar, who hit centuries after centuries. I only wish you that you will continue to have hundreds of podcasts like Centuries by Sachin.
Thank you so much, Professor. I really appreciate, firstly, that the fact that you agreed to be on the podcast and continue with the interaction that we've been having ever since, I think, several years ago when we met you in Delhi and then you came to Indonesia. And I have been truly inspired by you. And I must say that you are one of my gurus. Thank you so much. All right. Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, that's
wonderful.
Very good. Wonderful.